some blueprints by way of industrial policy. But never before has a government put together a well-structured, time-bound, strategic document backed by strong political will and being done in the very first term of a sitting administration. There are a lot of indices to be excited about for what we're here to launch today. One of the first things he said on the day he was inaugurated as a president was, he will give us this industrial policy that will stimulate and return us to a producing economy. We welcome critical stakeholders, most of whom worked in putting this document together from the public and private sector. Please, all those who So we acknowledge heads of agencies whom I've mentioned earlier. Let me also acknowledge Mr. Mohammed Malik Fall, the United Nations Resident and Humanitarian Coordinator in Nigeria. We also have the SSA to the President on Industrial Training and Development, Honorable Adamsing Ainde. Warm welcome to you. Thank you for joining us. I'd mentioned the DG of MAN earlier. I'd mentioned the heads of agency earlier. We also have legislators in the room this morning. The Honorable Commissioner representing the Governor of Enugu State will acknowledge your presence, Dr. Sam Ogbu Nwobodo. Very good morning to you. Okay, I think I had mentioned him earlier, Dr. Hafiz Oluwatoyin, the DGITF, before he arrived, so warm welcome to you. I'd mentioned your other colleagues. I'm told that Chief Oluwemimo Joseph is the DG, not the MD as earlier stated. Warm welcome to you all. And of course, captains of industry who were here. No country functions without having her industries operating at somewhat efficient level that would trigger a balance of trade and earn her respect amongst the Committee of Nations. The Asian tigers of the 60s and 70s and 80s have done this, and today they rank amongst some of them developed nations, some of them no longer ranked in the League of Developing Nations. If you have an information for me, please you can give it to the young lady standing there who's been giving me info. Once I get back to my seat, I will get it. Special Advisor to the President on Job Creation and MSMEs is also here. Office of the Vice President, Temi Tola Adekunle Johnson, MFR. Warm welcome to you. Thank you for coming to join in making history today. Some say there had been policies before now. It is one thing to have a plan. It's another thing to have an implementable plan, proper timelines to follow through, and a determination to see it. I think for me, the excitement began when I heard about this, and is coming in the first tenure of Mr. President. It's part of his fulfillment of promises to the Nigerian people, as he said on May 29th, that he will do this. So one promise after another, the President continues to lead in helping Nigerians' hope restored in governance, in government, and in our leaders. Sometimes we have seen things like this done in the last year of a sitting governor or president, but here in his first term, we're seeing this come to fruition with a Minister of State for Industry who is more than able and willing to make sure that the dreams of Mr. President for the Nigerian people, as long as stimulating production, increasing export, creating jobs, and enabling our economy, becomes a reality. Some of the benefits you get as a leader when you appoint eggheads, when you appoint technocrats in their right, whether they have served in public service or not. I'd like to now welcome His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, represented by His Excellency Kashim Shettima, GCON, Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Please, the first stanza of the national anthem. Can we hear the audio technical, please? In the absence of the audio, we'll go on 3.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own native land. Birthright and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians old and proud to serve our sovereign fatherland.
While we're still standing, I will just recite the third stanza as our national prayer for this event. O God of all creation, grant these our one request. Help us to build a nation where no man is oppressed, and so with peace and plenty, Nigeria may be blessed. God bless the Republic of Nigeria. We may please be seated. Photographers, please, you can now go to the corners of the hall, take the flanks. You can't stay in the middle. Please go to the flanks and take your shots. Thank you very much. We appreciate you. Please, 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 photographers. To the far right, please move as they are directing you, please. Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me begin this morning by acknowledging or establishing some bit of protocol for this event. Of course, again, acknowledge His Excellency Kashim Shettima, GCON, Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, representing His Excellency, our President. Please, a warm applause for the Vice President. Let me also acknowledge the presence here of Her Excellency, Dr. Hadiza Sabowa Balarabe, the Deputy Governor of Kaduna State. Your Excellency, you're welcome. Let me also acknowledge the presence here of His Excellency, Chief Sir Monday John Onyeme, the Deputy Governor of Delta State. Your Excellency, you're welcome. Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, His Excellency, of course, the Governor of Lagos State, is represented by the Honorable Commissioner for Commerce, Trade and Investment, Mrs. Folashade Ambrose Medebem. Very good morning to you, Ma'am, and thank you for joining us. His Excellency, Mr. Peter Mba of Enugu State, is presented by the Commissioner in charge of Trade, Investment and Industry of Enugu State, Dr. Sam Ogbu Nwobodo. Honorable Commissioner, a warm welcome to you. Chairman, Senate Committee on Industry, Distinguished Senator Francis Fadahunsi, warm welcome to you. The Chairman, House Committee on Industry, Honorable Dr. Eniton Dolapo Badru, a warm welcome. And indeed to all lawmakers who have joined us here this morning, please give them a round of applause. The Honorable Minister for Trade and Investment, Dr. Jumoke Oduwole, very good morning to you, ma'am. Always lovely to see you. Of course, the Honorable Minister of Budget and National Planning, Distinguished Senator Atiku Bagudu, very good morning to you. The Honorable Minister of State for Industry, Senator John Owan Eno, very good morning to you and thank you for pulling and doing this for the people of this great nation. I'd like to also acknowledge His Excellency. I'm told he's here, but my eyes have not picked him. In any case, the Secretary of Government of the Federation, or whoever is representing me, good morning to you. Of course, SAs to the President who are here, quite a number of them. I've mentioned you earlier, but let me mention Mr. John Wajumogu, SA to the President on Industry, Trade and Investment. Our foremost industrialist, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, GCON, President of the Dangote Group. A very good morning to you and thank you for joining us. Mr. Nura Abarimi, the Permanent Secretary of the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, directors of the ministry, heads of agencies whom I've mentioned here before, captains of industry, gentlemen of the press, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. History shows that nations rise not by resources they possess, but by systems they create. Today, Nigeria makes a decisive statement that we will create. With a population exceeding 220 million, and the median age under 19, our demographic advantage is undeniable. Yet, manufacturing has hovered below 10% of GDP for years. That gap between potential and productivity is precisely why today matters. The Nigerian Industrial Policy 2025 is not merely a framework, it's a strategic intervention, and it's important to acknowledge that this moment did not emerge by accident. It reflects the deliberate resolve of this administration under the leadership of His Excellency, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, to move Nigeria from consumption to production, from policy articulation to policy execution. Okay. Oh, yes. Thank you very much, Nancy. I stand corrected. I guess my glasses were fooling me. Let me acknowledge properly the SGF, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, His Excellency, Distinguished Senator George Akume, CON. Very good morning to you. I'm just seeing him now. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as a management thinker, Peter Drucker once said, the best way to predict the future is to create it. So today, this administration chooses to create it through a coherent, structured, industrial roadmap with actionable timelines. The true unveiling of this policy will not be on the screen nor in the ministry buildings or offices. It will be seen in factories reopened, exports expanded, jobs created, and industries strengthened. With commitment, with discipline in ambition and clarity in execution, Nigeria, through the Ministry of Industry, steps forward to increase production again. It's on that note, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you to the official launch of the Nigerian Industrial Policy 2025. And I think the ministry does deserve a round of applause for putting this together with true actionable timelines for the development of Nigeria and her people. Let me then go into the agenda for the morning, and just to give you a quick run through of the brief time we will spend here, we'll get into an opening, and after that some goodwill messages, and after that a brief panel session. Of course, the minister will speak, and then the president will address us. He will unveil, then address us. Family photo will follow, and we are out of here. So let me go in now to the morning's agenda as I begin with the Permanent Secretary of the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment for his own opening comments. Please welcome Mr. Nura Abba Rimi. Sound.
Your Excellency, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, represented by the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, GCON, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Executive Governors present here, Honorable Ministers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, my name is Mohammed Naziru Abbas. I'm standing in here for the Permanent Secretary, Ambassador Nura Abba Rimi, who is away on an important official assignment. With your kind permission, sir, I will proceed to read his welcome address. It is my distinguished honor to deliver the opening remarks of today's official launch of the Nigerian Industrial Policy, a landmark initiative of the federal government aimed at repositioning Nigeria's industrial sector as a central driver of economic growth, job creation, and national competitiveness. Permit me to acknowledge the far-reaching reform in the civil service being championed by the head of civil service of the Federation. This reform anchor and professionalism, performance management, digital transformation, and result-based service delivery are already yielding tangible outcomes. The policy we are launching today is in many ways a product of a re-energized and reform-oriented civil service that is committed to efficiency, coordination, and measurable impact. I also wish to appreciate my bosses, the Honorable Minister, Dr. Jumoke Oduwole, MFR, and the Honorable Minister of State for Industry, Senator John Owen Eno, for their leadership and dedication in driving the development of this policy. The Nigerian Industrial Policy is not a merely policy document. It is a strategic instrument for delivering on the economic promise of the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President. The policy provides a coherent and coordinated framework to address long-standing structural constraints to industrial growth. It prioritizes productivity, value addition, competitiveness, innovation, and export-led manufacturing, while strengthening linkages across sector and value chain. In doing so, it lays the foundation for a more diversified economy that is resilient, inclusive, and capable of sustaining higher growth trajectories. Distinguished guests, the successful execution of this policy will translate into expanded manufacturing output, stronger local value chain, increased non-oil export, quality jobs for Nigeria, and a measurable increase in the contribution of industry to national GDP. These outcomes are critical to achieving Mr. President's bold ambition of building a 1 trillion economy powered by production, industrialization, and private sector-led growth. At the administration and coordinating backbone of the ministry, I assured you that we have a willing, committed, and reform-minded workforce ready to work with the Secretariat and all stakeholders to ensure effective implementation. Our staff are fully aligned with the Mr. President's vision and are prepared to translate policy into measurable results through disciplined execution, monitoring, and accountability. I wish to express our profound appreciation to His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, represented by the Vice President Kashim Shettima, GCON, for his leadership, vision, and unwavering commitment to Nigeria's industrial transformation. Your Excellency, your presence here today underscores the strategic importance of industry and manufacturing to our national development. Thank you for your attention, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much there. Thank you. Thank you very much. Speaking on behalf of the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment there, please let's give the ministry another round of applause. Thank you very much. I'm moving on now to goodwill messages, and I want to appeal to all those who would come after this, my introductions. Kindly keep your goodwills to a maximum of 3 minutes because of time. We appreciate you greatly. Let me begin with the UN Resident and Humanitarian Coordinator for Nigeria. Please welcome Mr. Mohammed Malik Fall.
Your Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, represented by His Excellency Senator Kashim Shettima, GCON, Vice President of Nigeria. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, His Excellency George Akume, the Deputy Governor of Delta State, of Enugu State, and of Kaduna, representative of all the governors, representative of the Lagos governor, honorable ministers, special advisor to the president. I am honored to witness this moment. Today, Nigeria takes a step into its future. Today, a vision is carved into policy, and today, hope is turned into action. Nigeria, giant of Africa, beacon of resilience, and land of talent, embraces its industrial destiny. Nigeria industrial policy is not just a document. It is a promise to create jobs, a promise to grow industry, to build a future where no one is left behind, a promise that shapes prosperity that touches every corner of this great nation. The Nigeria industrial policy, which we launched today, is the outcome of an ongoing partnership between UNIDO and the government of Nigeria, aimed to promote inclusive and sustainable industrial development. And I wanted to commend here not only the government, but also the colleagues from the UN family who have provided support to this initiative. The policy is a mark for progress. It guides investment, strengthens industry, and opens doors to innovation. It aligns with Sustainable Development Goals, powering inclusive economic growth, clean energy, sustainable food system, and resilient community. It is Nigeria that bridges a future of dignity, opportunity, and shared wealth. I wanted to commend here His Excellency the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, for his bold leadership, and also the Ministry of Industrial Development for steering this vision with wisdom and with commitment. When implemented with unity and purpose, this policy will transform local production, expand manufacturing, enhance competitiveness, and integrate Nigeria into the global and regional value chain. It is a tool for innovation, a shield for the environment, and a beacon for prosperities. The United Nations stand ready to work alongside the government of Nigeria. Together, we will foster a strong partnership, promote sustainable industrial growth, and accelerate progress on the SDGs. Together, we will turn policy into progress, ambition into achievement, and vision into realities. Let this day mark a launch. Let it mark a beginning. Let it also mark a rise of industry, the bloom of opportunity, and the enduring promise that Nigeria will lead Africa with strength, wisdom, and purpose. As the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres reminds us, we need to build a future that is fair, inclusive, and sustainable for all. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Fall there giving the UN's goodwill at this event. Thank you very much. Onwards to our next goodwill. Let me also acknowledge the Minister of Regional Development, Engineer Abubakar Momo. Warm welcome to you. Let's move on now to another goodwill, and this time from Lagos State. Please welcome the representative of Mr. Governor, Mrs. Folashade Ambrose Medebem, the Honorable Commissioner for Commerce, Trade and Investment.
Thank you. Good morning. I'd like to acknowledge His Excellency, the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency, Senator Kashim Shettima Mustafa, GCON, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Dr. Jumoke Oduwole, the Honorable Minister of Trade and Investment, the Federal Ministry of Trade and Industry Nigeria, and Senator John Owan Eno, the Honorable Minister of State for Industry, the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. Please, I humbly ask for me to stand on the highly established protocol, please, as I deliver Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, the Executive Governor of Lagos State's goodwill message. He would have loved to have been here, but due to the exigencies of his role, has asked me to represent him and sends his esteemed regards. The true measure of a nation lies in the jobs it creates, the skills it builds, and the opportunities it opens for its people. Today, with the launch of the National Industrial Policy Nigeria is taking a decisive step toward becoming a country that produces more, empowers more, and competes globally. For too long, we exported raw materials and imported finished goods. That cycle must end, and it is ending. Under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, this administration has chosen to confront our structural economic challenges head-on through macroeconomic reforms, clearer regulations, investor engagement, and infrastructural development. The groundwork for real industrial growth is being laid. This policy builds on that foundation. Since its soft launch at the Nigeria Economic Summit Group 2026 Macroeconomic Outlook, one message has been clear. Industrialization is no longer optional. It is central to Nigeria's future. So today's official launch signals not just intent, but action across ministries, agencies, and the private sector. Efforts are already underway to translate policy into factories, jobs, and export. The goal of raising manufacturing's contribution to GDP to 25% by 2030 is ambitious but achievable. It will require reviving dormant factories, developing industrial clusters, strengthening value chains, and processing more of our natural resources at home. So by prioritizing local production and building Nigerian skills alongside industrial growth, we ensure that progress benefits our people. What makes this policy different is its integration with a wider economic ecosystem, from sector-specific financing and development bank partnerships to alignment with the African Continental Free Trade Area. Industrialization cannot be imposed. It must be built through partnership by working with MSMEs, large-scale manufacturers, and innovators. This policy supports inclusive and sustainable growth with targeted financing, streamlined regulations, and export support. It turns ambition into production and ideas into thriving industries. As the Executive Governor of Lagos State, I can attest to the resilience and enterprise of our people. Lagos remains Nigeria's commercial heartbeat, home to dynamic industrial clusters, and a thriving entrepreneurial ecosystem. We are ready to align fully with this national vision, strengthening infrastructure, supporting manufacturers, and helping businesses scale into national and global markets. So as this administration advances, it is building a legacy of structure, systems, and a clear roadmap for industrial transformation. The national industrial policy confronts long-standing challenges, fragmented value chains, over-reliance on imports, and underused capacity, and replaces them with coordination, purpose, and measurable progress. Let today be remembered as a turning point that sends a clear message to young Nigerians, entrepreneurs, and investors. The era of production, innovation, and industrial renewal has begun. On behalf of the government and the people of Lagos State, I congratulate the Honorable Minister of State for Industry and all stakeholders who made this moment possible. May this policy usher in a new chapter of prosperity, industrial strength, and opportunity for all. Thank you, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Mr. Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu.
Thank you very much. The representative of Mr. Governor himself, his Honorable Commissioner in charge of Commerce, Trade and Investment, Mrs. Folashade Ambrose Medebem. Please, for Lagos, another round of applause. Let me acknowledge the presence of the Honorable Minister of State for Regional Development, His Excellency Uba Megari Amadu. Your Excellency, warm welcome to. Please, a warm applause, Honorable Minister. Thank you for joining us. The Governor of Bayelsa State is represented by Dr. Ebiri Jones, the Honorable Commissioner for Trade, Industry and Investment. The Governor of Ebonyi State is represented by Honorable Commissioner for Commerce and Industry, Chief Oguzo Ofia Nwali. Warm welcome to you. The Governor of Cross River State is represented by the Honorable Commissioner for Commerce, Dr. and Mrs. Abigail Duke Orok. Please give them a round of applause. We'd like to also acknowledge the presence of the largest indigenous steel company owner in Nigeria, the Chairman and Group Managing Director of CAM Group Nigeria, Dr. Kamaru Yusuf MON. Warm welcome to you. Thank you for joining us. Managing Director and CEO of NEBSA, Dr. Olufemi Ogunyemi, thank you for joining us. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, you know how you type a name on Google search bar or any of these devices we use these days, and if it is not an English-given name, it gives you a red lining underneath the name saying it does not recognize the name. There are Nigerians, in fact, very few, very, very few, who when you type their native name, it does not give you a red line. It is not because their name is spelled with English letters, because all of our names are spelled the same way, but because of the contribution they have made to human development, not just in Nigeria, but across the continent of Africa. Because the world has come to recognize them and acknowledge them as true nation and human builders who are transforming life every single day by the patriotic zeal to take on a task and assignment that people shy away from. And one of such persons will speak to us now. His name does not get red mark under it. His name resounds globally, and his name stands tall if we're talking about entrepreneurs or industrialists. Please welcome Chairman, President of the Dangote Group of Companies, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, GCON.
Your Excellency, Mr. President of the Republic of Nigeria, ably represented by His Excellency, the Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima, the SGF that is here with us, the two honorable ministers, Honorable Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, and Minister of State, Industry, Trade and Investment, the three deputy governors that are here, our political leaders, senators, and senators and other honorable members. I stand on the existing protocol that has already been established. Well, thank you very much. I must really thank the government for finding it worthy to have, what you call industrial policy. It is actually very, very important. Government cannot create jobs. They can only facilitate, and I think they have already given us whatever that we need to create jobs. The policies that they have, in Nigeria, is a very, very big market. Not only that it is a big market, this is a market where we're supposed to be serving other African nations. But one thing that we need, Your Excellency, Mr. Vice President, since you are here, is not only the policy. The policy is there, but if you look at the incentives that we have for people to invest in Nigeria, actually they are even over, you have actually given us much more than what we need. The only thing that is remaining, Mr. Vice President, is protection of the industries. Even if you give us money, zero interest, you give us free land with power. If there's no protection, there is no way any industry will thrive here, because allowing importation and also, importers would like to now have a field day. But importation of anything is importation of poverty and exporting of jobs out. We can only create jobs if the, if the policies are there. But the policies are there. They have given us whatever we need as entrepreneurs to risk our own capital and create jobs. And I can tell you for, as we speak today, why should Nigeria be importing anything? We shouldn't. We should just make sure that whatever we consume, we produce here. And that's the only way we can create jobs. By creating the jobs, we are going to reduce the burden on government. But we too, as entrepreneurs, we should also behave. When we now do our business, we must pay our taxes, because it's a joint venture. Like what I keep saying is that the government, they are the major shareholders of any business. I mean, today, government makes more money in our cement business than anybody. They are number one. We shareholders, we collect less than what the government collects. But that is okay, so far that they keep allowing us to expand, they keep allowing us to prosper, and we too, we will actually make sure that there is prosperity all over the place. One of the things that I want to advise Your Excellency, Mr. Vice President, is to call a national forum where we'll have a day or 2 days retreat and resolve the issues of power. Because without power, Mr. Vice President, sir, there's no way in any country you can create growth or you can create jobs. So power means growth. No power, no growth. So we must make sure that we tackle this issue. So people who are buying, I would have loved to sell more diesel, but that's not the right way. I think the right way is to make sure we allow people to only invest in the machinery to focus on the primary goods that they want to produce. But when you look at it, some factories, you spend more money generating power. So it means that the national power, you have to have a power, you set up your own power plant, then you set up also another standby. That doesn't make sense. But in the sense when you look at it today, there is nowhere you can get prosperity. And Nigeria, things are much, much easier for us. Nigeria is the only country in Africa where the private sector is bigger than the government. when you look at the GDP contribution of private sector is almost 90% compared to government, which is 10. So we have what it takes to create massive consumption, massive industry, and to create what you call disposable income. I mean, today, if you look at it, Your Excellency, I believe with the policies that you have done in government, people now have started seeing the result. And manufacturers are very, very happy. Today, dollar is 1,340. Mr. Vice President, I can assure you, with what I know, blocking all this importation and co. Naira at this year will be as low as 1,100 if we're lucky. But the only thing is for maybe the government to stop the Naira from getting stronger so that they will keep collecting more Naira. But it's a catch-22 situation. It's a catch-22 situation where now, if the Naira gets stronger, it means that everything will go down because we're an import-based country, which we shouldn't be. What you should be is to manufacture all the things that we need. We must make sure that, yes, if there will be imports, I'm not saying that, no, don't allow imports. If you are going to allow imports, then take into consideration our own constraints, where you pay 30% interest rate or 25 to 30% interest rates, where you provide a lot of infrastructure, water, electricity and co. So if you want to allow imports for maybe just like what you have done in sugar or in other products, you charge a duty whereby you cannot come and dump in a market. Because if you are going to dump, nobody is going to survive. But the trajectory that we're on now, Mr. Vice President, we are really, really on a very high distance. You see a lot of people now are trying to come and invest in Nigeria. Why? Because there is stability of the currency. Inflation is down to 15%. All the policies that you've done, you've actually done great. The only one thing that now, which the government must emphasize, is to protect the local industries. Once we do that, I think we will now even ask government to relieve some of their workers, who will give them employment. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Alhaji Aliko Dangote. You know, it takes a man who is truly patriotic about his nation to say, I love to produce diesel, but if I have my way, I would rather there is constant power and me not producing diesel again, demonstrating again your patriotism. Please, a round of applause for Alhaji Aliko Dangote. Thank you so much. Your Excellencies, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite the representative of the Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture for their 3 minutes of goodwill message. Please welcome Dr. Emmanuel N. Ake. He's the head of the Abuja liaison of NACIMA. Just a round of applause for him. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good morning. Your Excellencies, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Your Excellencies, the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Your Honorable Minister of State for Industry, representatives of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, sir, representatives of state governments. My name is Dr. Emmanuel Ake. I represent NACIMA. I'm here on behalf of Dr. Jani Ibrahim, the National President of NACIMA, who is unavoidably absent. He's out of the country on official assignment. Please, with your permission, sirs and ma'ams, please, may I read his goodwill message, please? It is a great pleasure to deliver this goodwill message on behalf of the Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines, and Agriculture, and the Organized Private Sector of Nigeria at this historic launch of the Nigeria Industrial Policy. Today marks more than the unveiling of a policy. It marks a decisive national commitment to reposition Nigeria as a productive, competitive, and industrially self-reliant economy. We commend Your Excellencies, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and the government for providing clear strategic direction at a critical moment in our historic economic history. This policy demonstrates strong leadership and a firm understanding that no nation achieves sustainable prosperity without a vibrant industrial base. As you all know, industrialization is the engine that drives job creation, technological progress, export growth, and economic resilience. It is the pathway through which nations move from dependency to productivity, from vulnerability to strength, and from potential to prosperity. Nigeria possesses all the fundamentals required for industrial success: a large domestic market, abundant natural resources, and a youthful and enterprising population. What is required now is disciplined implementation, sustained investment in infrastructure, improved access to finance, reliable energy supply, and a stable, predictable business environment. The organized private sector strongly supports the key priorities of the Nigeria Industrial Policy, particularly its focus on strengthening local manufacturing, promoting value addition, deepening industrial linkages, advancing innovation, and enhancing export competitiveness. We are especially encouraged by the policy's emphasis on domestic value addition. Nigeria must move deliberately from exporting raw materials to producing finished and highly valued goods. The transition is essential for creating quality jobs, expanding national income, conserving foreign exchange, and strengthening economic sovereignty. The timing of this policy is also significant. With expanding regional market opportunities, Nigerian industries must be positioned to compete and lead. Competitiveness will depend on productivity, quality standards, technological capability, and policy consistency. Your Excellencies, the private sector stands ready to play its role. NASIMA and the organized private sector reaffirm our commitment to mobilizing investment, supporting enterprise growth, promoting innovation, and strengthening industrial capacity across the country. We will continue to advance policies that enhance investor confidence, reduce the cost of doing business, and improve the overall competitiveness of Nigerian enterprise. If effectively implemented, the Nigeria Industrial Policy will strengthen domestic production, expand exports, reduce import dependence, create millions of productive jobs, and position Nigeria as a leading industrial hub in Africa. In conclusion, the organized private sector stands fully aligned with the federal government in this noble endeavor. We are committed to working in partnership to translate this policy into tangible outcomes that improve livelihoods, strengthen businesses, and secure Nigeria's economic future. We congratulate Your Excellency and all stakeholders whose vision and dedication have made this policy possible. We are confident that this marks the beginning of a new era of industrial growth, economic strength, and shared prosperity. Thank you for your attention, and may God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nasima. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, finally for our goodwill today is the President of the Manufacturer Association of Nigeria. Please welcome Otumba Francis Mishonyi.
Your Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, duly represented by the Vice President, Senator Kashim GCON. You're welcome, sir. The Honorable Minister of the Federal Minister of Industry and Investment, good morning. Thank you. Honorable Minister of State for Industry, thank you very much. The SGF, the Minister, Your Excellency, we appreciate your presence here. We appreciate what you've been doing. I will stand on the existing protocol, and I will just go straight because I know I have about 3 minutes. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Manufacturer Association of Nigeria want to thank the federal government of Nigeria, particularly the efforts that the presidents have made ever since with respect to the industrial growth of the country. Hitherto, the GDP of the manufacturing sector was low, about 8%. Yes, still very low, but a little of inch of increase in the GDP. And it was a turbulent time for the very past 2 years. But initiatives taken are really helped us to an extent, and are very hopeful. We want to thank the ministry for the initiative to have the IRG, Industrial Revolutionary Working Group, which has really tried to anchor the aspiration of the manufacturers and industrial, at least in Nigeria in particular. This is very working well. Your Excellency, the very own there, President Dangote, we thank you for what you've said. The industrial sector, particularly the power issue, is trying to be even addressed by the RWG. I think they're trying to work on a cluster. The launch of NIP is very, very imminent and very good at this point in time. It can't be the best time, it's very apt. What the manufacturers is actually looking up to is the implementation of the facts contained in the policy. It is meant to create jobs, it is meant to promote industrial growth, it is meant to do so many wonderful things. Your Excellency, Vice President, without a very effective implementation, it might be like all other green books that we have had in the past, and we don't think this is not the intention of this administration to do. You want to plead that be proper implementation, effective one, and we should be, they should just hit the ground running. And it should mean to promote indigenous entrepreneurship. This is contained there. This is very important, just like Alhaji Dangote has said. It is important to find a way to promote indigenous entrepreneurship, to promote them not only to really stimulate them to start the business, to find a way that will be sustained in the future and to become like all other big names we have in Africa and the whole world. It is not just a launching, it is the beginning of a new era. The Manufacturer Association of Nigeria believes so much in the policy. We thank the UNIDO for the efforts that have really made in ensuring this policy comes, and we are ready at any point in time to ensure that we give all our support to successful implementation. That's what we are looking up to. That's what we are expecting. And we can't wait to see that it is being implemented. Thank you once again. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much, Otumba, President of MAN. Please, let's give MAN another warm applause. Thank you. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on the day he was sworn into office, the President made a promise on which this national launch campaign stands. For just a few minutes, about a minute or so, let's remind ourselves of this all-important promise on which today is anchored. Technical.
On the economy, we target a GDP not less than 6% growth. We aim to accomplish all of this by taking the following steps. budgetary reform, stimulating the economy without engendering inflation, industrial policy to utilize the full range of domestic manufacturing and lessen import dependency.
To be frank, when the Honorable Minister said that he was going to lead the process of producing an industrial policy for Nigeria, and that he was going to do it in his first 1 year in office, not many people believed him. I must confess that in the private sector, we also felt that it was going to be one of those promises that would span an administration.
We'll be engaging the private sector both internally and externally, because in as much as we need foreign investment into the economy, we're focusing more on investment from within, because we believe we have the capacity to do what is required for ourselves from within.
The Nigerian First policy, which by the way is an element in the Nigerian industrial policy as one of the strategies and all of that announced by the president. I mean, I've had cause to visit factories and industries, and I've come face to face with goods that are produced in country and cannot be bought because people are not buying them. By the time this becomes reversed, I think that it will become more obvious and easy, to be able to measure, how this Nigerian industrial policy is able to impact and how competitive we are. For example, Nigeria is a signatory to the AFCFTA. Being a signatory is not just for us to become a market, it's for us to become a production hub.
Without production, there's nothing that we can do as a country. So we have to start producing, at least producing what we consume.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been very, very adamant on the Nigerian First policy. And, everywhere we go as Medan, we have also constituted a mandate to support the Nigerian First policy, something called Grow Nigeria, because we are the backbone for the Nigeria First. And Grow is GROW. G stands for guidance, R stands for resources, O stands for opportunity, and W stands for work for support.
To show leadership and to lead from the front, that what I currently use is a Nigerian-made car, a Nigerian-assembled car. I said so. I'm wearing a suit now, but this is a Nigerian-made suit as well. So by the time we also begin to show examples, I believe that the mass of our countrymen and women are willing to follow, only to the extent that they find people that are willing to provide leadership, lead by example, and all of that.
This policy, industrial policy, is going to be the industrial policy for Nigerians, not industrial policy for governments. Industrial policy for Nigeria, for the stakeholder, for the industrialists, for the investors.
It is not just about producing policy papers. It's about getting institutions to work together, deliver results, and take responsibility for outcomes that actually support MSME growth, skills development, and industrial expansion.
It's long overdue, so absolute kudos to the Honorable Minister for delivering it, especially within a short time of his assumption of office.
And it provides a unified blueprint that aligns the entire productive sector around competitiveness, innovation, and sustainability.
I believe that for the Industrial Revolution Work Group and the leadership that the Honorable Minister has provided, Nigeria, after 65 years of independence, can now have an all-encompassing policy that will be an instrument for engagement with all those who want to come to invest in Nigeria, and will be a roadmap for any administration that will come after this one to know the pathways that we have set for ourselves.
I think that is just a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Truly promise delivered. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, there's an institute where leaders go get their skills honed or sharpened, depending on the level they are at before getting there. In this journey, we begin today. We're going to look at an implementation review, Policy from Practice is the presentation for the next few minutes, and I'd like to welcome the Director General of the National Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies. Please welcome Professor Ayo Omotayo.
The President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, here represented by the Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima, GCON, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, our foremost industrialist, Alhaji Aliyu Dangote, all ministers here present, all governors here present, development partners, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. I'm supposed to look at policy to practice, and that is the topic I've been given to work upon. But let me start like this. When Mr. President came into power, he mentioned that he wanted a $1 trillion economy for Nigeria. And as at that time, the National Institute took it upon itself to take efforts to contribute to that. Mr. Vice President may not know this, but you have been an encourager of what is happening here today. I remember very well we were at a gathering, and I mentioned that Nigeria is capable of doing a 25% annual growth in our manufacturing sector. And you said, can we make this happen? And the National Institute went to work. It was at the time when we were trying to redirect and empower and expand on the mandate of the National Institute to go beyond the senior executive course. We wanted to actually get involved in how policies are made in our country. And then we formed what we call our own policy lab, and we thought of how to get Nigeria to do a 25% year-on-year growth in the manufacturing sector. Because we had, through research, found that countries that have done very well are those whose factories are always running. So what did we do? We decided to start with manufacturing. And we are lucky with the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria's leadership. We invited them to our own policy laboratory, and we ran what we call a brainstorming session in NIPS style. NIPS style in brainstorm requires that all stakeholders are brought into the policy lab, and they will stand on their feet. And I mean stand on their feet to look at all sides of the story. And for 3 days, I must tell you, and I congratulate sectoral leaders that attended that meeting, for free on their feet, and we looked at all ramifications of the Nigerian industrial sector. And it was how the journey for us started. Now, when we talk of policy to practice, we must ask ourselves, how did we even get to policy in the first place? The initial steps were tough. We did brainstorming sessions. We got MAN to make an elaborate presentation of what they think Nigeria should be in terms of manufacturing. And I must say again that the Vice President was at hand to attend the ceremony sometimes in 2024. Then things moved a bit slowly, but finally came our new Minister of State for Industry, Senator John Eno. He looked at what we had done and he decided to push even beyond the call of duty. His efforts added fillip to what MAN and NIPS had tried to do. Honorable Minister for State, sir, I must thank you for your efforts. If he had been lackadaisical, we probably wouldn't be where we are today. Once he came on board, serious engagements began. He put together various working groups, and those groups worked assiduously until we got to the point of validation, where all stakeholders were invited. And while the validation was going on, NIPS had another thought coming up. We said and we knew that most policies have not really worked in Nigeria because most of the times we fail to have what we call implementation strategies. And this is the first time a Nigerian industrial policy is being accompanied with implementation strategies. And when we talk about policy to practice, if that practice is going to be well done, we must have implementation strategies. And these implementation strategies have also taken a whole lot of time to put in place. All stakeholders have been involved. We have looked at what can make it work, what can be the problems. And we are here today with what we call the implementation strategies of the Nigeria industrial policy. These are the areas of focus of the new policy. I'm sure when the minister comes up, he will actually describe and explain what those policies are about. But let me just let us go through what the areas of focus are. This is a very important part of the industrial policy. Improvement in the patronage of made in Nigeria products. We have set up through a matrix, and I believe that some of the state governors that are here today can learn from what NIPS has done in terms of developing a framework, a matrix for implementation strategies that will ensure that we can get to where we want to be. Policies get to work when implementation strategies are clear. We know who is to do what, and the matrix has 5 headings. What are the strategic objectives of the policy? What are the key implementation strategies? What activities are supposed to be carried out? Who are the key actors? Then what are the deliverables? And of course, we must always have timeline and expected outcomes. So for improvement in patronage of made in Nigeria products, we have its own set of key implementation strategies that would accompany that document, but for want of time, we cannot explain what those ones are. But for those who will be interested further, they will see that. The next important step is strategic interventions for policy objectives. We've taken care of MSMEs, what they need to do, the technology standards we need to provide, the innovation that is necessary, the coordination that we must put in place. We have identified raw materials as being very important, and of course, we talk about cost reduction. Alhaji Dangote spoke about energy. We have identified energy as a major focus area. The third focus is on developing the skills and innovation, and we know who are the key actors, what strategies are we to employ, can we set up skills council, we must improve on our training, and of course, we must set up digital platforms. All this will also be evaluated under the matrix for the implementation. And of course, we recognize the place of money. We have also provided financial architecture for industrial development, different from what we have always used. By the time we see the implementation strategies, we will see very clearly what new steps we need to take to ensure that we achieve on the major provisions of the policy. We looked at incentive framework. There has to be an incentive framework to stimulate industrial growth. Do we need protection? Alhaji Dangote has said we do not need money as much as we need protection. All of these things have been provided for fully under the incentive framework that goes with the implementation strategies. And of course, there is need for expansion that will provide jobs, expansion that will provide sustainable growth, and of course, that will take care of inclusivity. We know we have to be competitive. Nigeria has signed so many trade deals, but if we are going to industrialize, we have to be competitive such that even when foreign goods come in, our industries will be competitive enough to stand the competition. And of course, it's important we build robust institutions for resource efficiency, and of course, we need to look at all areas that have to do with environmental sustainability. This is the seventh thrust of the policy development. And of course, we have the need to measure, to report, and verify on our successes and on our failures. This is an industrial policy that is a non-such. It is an industrial policy that is being accompanied by the strategies for the implementation. It's an industrial policy that allows for M&E to be clamped on it. For us at the National Institute, we have always emphasized that there must be a framework for monitoring and evaluation of policies, and that we have also provided here. So the policy is clear and clean. How to achieve the policies have been enumerated. We have moved from policy almost getting to practice. I believe that after today, Nigeria will begin to play their roles. All the stakeholders involved will know what they are supposed to do, when, where, and what the expected outcomes are supposed to be. We also want to use this opportunity to call on state governments that are yet to come up with their industrial policies. I'm aware that Lagos State is very, very close to launching its own. It would have been a nice thing for Lagos to see what the national policy is so that they can plug whatever they want to do to align with the national. I recognize that Lagos was actually trying to move faster than the national, but it is still necessary, it's an advice that we look at the national policies and see how you can also plug into that. I want to congratulate the minister one more time. Thank you for all of your efforts. I congratulate the Vice President for always nudging us to do the best for our country. And I want to believe that this will be the beginning of change in Nigeria concerning industrialization and all that we require to grow our economy and give our children the jobs they deserve. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Ayo Omotayo, DG, the National Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies, Kuru. Please, a round of applause for him again, giving us a sneak peek into what this document is about and the fact that it is one designed for implementation. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, money is needed to advance this course. Therefore, I will acknowledge the presence of the MD of Nexim Bank, Mr. Abba Bello. A very good afternoon to you. And of course, the man who is also driving gas in the FLNG, Dr. Julius Rone. Welcome all of you. Moving on swiftly now to our next speaker. It is said that charity begins at home, and he is one who has done so well for his home state, serving at different levels in public service, and coming to the national, serving as a legislator, and of course, coming here now and helping the current administration achieve her aspirations in industrial development. Little wonder he's been first class across his academic pursuit and for most of his life. Please join me in welcoming now, for his own comment, the Honorable Minister of State for Industry, Minister of Trade, Industry and Investment, the distinguished Senator John Owan Eno.
The President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, very ably represented by the Vice President, His Excellency Senator Kashim Shettima, GCON, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, His Excellency Senator George Akume, the Deputy Governors of Kaduna, of Delta, of Lagos, the Deputy Governor of Kaduna State, Dr. Hadiza Balarabe, representing the Governor of Kaduna State, the Deputy Governor of Delta, Sir Monde Oyeme, representing His Excellency the Governor of Delta State, the Governor of Lagos State, ably represented, the Governor of Enugu State, ably represented, the Governors of Ebonyi, Bayelsa, Cross River, all represented, members of the National Assembly present here, the Honorable Minister, Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Jumoke Oduwole, the Honorable Minister of Regional Development, Engineer Abubakar Momo, the Honorable Minister of State for Regional Development, Special Advisors, Senior Special Assistants, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, Directors of the Ministry, Heads of Government Agencies, Africa's biggest industrialist and manufacturer, the President of Dangote Group, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, captains of industry development partners, members of the diplomatic corps, distinguished guests, press ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, the Vice President, representing Mr. President, the Federal Executive Council, December 10th, approved the Nigerian industrial policy. Like most other policies that have been approved by FEC, it was still have been possible that after the approval of the Nigerian industrial policy, we just got down to work within the ministry in terms of execution. But I think that the decision to organize this launch is because a country's industrial policy is like no other policy. And we thought we needed to elevate it to a point for national discourse, national deliberations, and national consensus and ownership. That's why it was important that this launch held. Your Excellency, today I think that our gathering here is not merely to do a launch, but to mark a turning point. I don't think this is a ceremonial moment. I think that this moment is a consequential one. Today, we make a declaration as a country, a declaration to ourselves and to the world that industrialization is no longer a distant aspiration, but that industrialization is a disciplined national priority. Your Excellency, and we've watched the video, when you charge the administration to move Nigeria from potential to productivity, it was a call, not for it. The industrial policy is our structured response to that call. It's built on clarity of purpose, it's grounded in realism, and it's anchored in execution. When at your inauguration, Mr. President, you made a clear commitment to the Nigerian people that this administration will rebuild its productive capacity, and that it will place industry at the center of its economic policy. Today, we stand here to say this is a policy and it's a promise delivered. The Nigeria Industrial Policy 2025 is not an abstract framework, it's a translation of a presidential mandate into an executable national program. It affirms something that is important to Nigerians and to investors alike. This policy is therefore not an announcement, it is a fulfillment of a commitment, not a declaration of intent, but evidence of delivery. And I think that is a product of a study of past industrial efforts, their promises, their progress, and their limitations. We have done all of this, and from that work has emerged a policy that is coherent, that is practical, and that is implementable. And I think that this policy represents three decisive shifts. One, first, from fragmentation to coordination. Second, from extraction to value addition. And third, from policy announcement to policy implementation. And I think that, and I've looked at, considering most of the things I thought I wanted to say here today, and I said to myself, most of it will be things that will continue to resonate. Is it value addition? Is it value change? Is it productivity? Is it all of that? And I think that in some of the sessions that I've tried to hold as a build-up to this day, on Friday, for example, I was in Lagos to meet with the Nigerian Guild of Editors, and I've had some appearances. There's one question that people have kept asking, and that question is, how soon are we going to begin to see the deliverables and the outcomes of progress made in executing this policy? Therefore, I chose that on this day and in this platform, I'm going to mention about two very immediate enablers. Those enablers will kickstart this execution and will make those deliverables and those outcomes almost as soon as possible. And what are they? Mr. President, Your Excellency, permit me to illustrate what disciplined industrial policy looks like in practice. In August 2025, Mr. President took a difficult but necessary decision, the prohibition of the export of share note. At the time, many doubted the wisdom of that decision. But leadership is not measured by convenience. Leadership is measured by conviction. And Mr. President from day one has more than shown that. When in Eagle Square, May 29, 2023, Mr. President took two very profound decisions. He took them out of conviction. He didn't take them out of convenience. And I'm glad that speaker after speaker, everybody appreciates what good those profound decisions have made for our country. The West African region accounts for nearly 90% of global share nut production. Nigeria alone accounts for about half of that output. Yet prior to 2025, nearly all of it left the shores of our country in raw form. The global share industry is valued at over $6.5 billion. Nigeria, which is the largest producer, captures barely 1% of that value. Is this the journey we still want to continue? Is this the journey we still want to sustain? We exported jobs in the process. We exported industry. We exported opportunity. Mr. President changed that trajectory. Immediately after the policy, prices, no doubt, fell to 500 naira per kilogram in August. Hoarders expected government to retreat. Instead, Nigerian industrialists stepped forward. By October 2025, prices rose per kilogram. Factories began purchasing. Processors began crushing. Competitors began collaborating, even toll processing for exporters of shea butter. nation building replaced speculation. Today, Nigeria is no longer primarily an exporter of shea nut. Nigeria is an exporter of shea butter. Our crushing capacity now approaches 300,000 metric tons annually, nearly matching national production. Farmer incomes rose dramatically from 333 naira per kg in 2023 to an average of 934 naira in 2025. Export of shea butter increased by 250% within 1 year. This policy did not only create factories, it has created dignity in rural communities. It has created industrial jobs. It has created national confidence. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, if there are shea processors in this room, Your Excellency, I'd like to seek your indulgence that they should stand. If there are shea processors, please stand. The country appreciates you. This is what industrialization looks like. This policy speaks directly to those who build, to those who manufacture, to those who process, and to those who assemble and innovate. To the entrepreneur seeking predictability, to the investor seeking certainty, to the young Nigerian seeking opportunity, to factories that cannot run on goodwill. They require power, require infrastructure, require skills, require policy that deliberate, that addresses those foundations. The next immediate enabler I'd like to mention, Your Excellency, is institutionalizing value addition to consolidate this progress. The Raw Materials Research and Development Council Amendment Bill that talks about 30% value addition has now passed both chambers of the National Assembly. And I'd like to thank the National Assembly for their patriotism in approaching that bill. After that, it's going to come up for presidential assent. This law will permanently move Nigeria away from being a purely extractive economy towards becoming a value-adding industrial nation. To support this, the Bank of Industry and the Bank of Agriculture will have to expand financing to processors and to manufacturers. Government has acted, the legislature has acted, the enabling environment is being created. Now, industry must act. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that this is a moment of national confidence, and I'd like to close by saying that Nigeria stands at a decisive threshold. And I think that these two decisions, the shea nut ban, 6 months expire about the end of this month. The 30% value addition bill will soon be before the president. There will be no better immediate enablers to Nigeria's industrial policy execution than the sustenance of these two. In closing, I'd like to say that Nigeria stands at a decisive threshold. We possess the resources. We possess the talent. We possess the market. And we possess the ambition. And because leadership made a promise and has now delivered a plan with disciplined execution, we will now possess our productivity. On behalf of the ministry, I welcome you all to this historic moment and thank you for partnership in building an industrial Nigeria that produces, that competes, and that prospers. Thank you, and may God bless all of us.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister of State for Industry, Federal Minister of Industry and Investment. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, before we get to the presidential address, we'll take a few minutes of an accountability dialogue. And without much ado, one of the panelists is already seated. Let me welcome the second, the DG of MAN. Please welcome Dr. Segun Ajayi Kadil, MNI. Joining him is the Group Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of one of the longest standing industrialists by way of company in this country today, and that is Flour Mills PLC. Please welcome Mr. Boye Olusoya. To drive the conversation for us is an ace broadcaster, the anchor and executive producer of Morning Line with Nancy on AIT. Please welcome Nancy Ilo Naji. She's expert at moderating very short panels, and we're counting on her to deliver today again. Nancy, is over to you.
Thank you very much, Richmond. I don't know about being expert in moderating short sessions, but let's see. I always have that difficult job. Good afternoon, Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Kashim Shettima, GCON. Good afternoon, distinguished honorable ministers here, distinguished guests, as well as our panelists. My job here is very simple, but also very complex. A lot has been said. The Industrial Policy 2025 will be officially unveiled after this panel by the Vice President. But there is something very important, which the Honorable Minister alluded to earlier on, which is about execution. Because Nigerians are asking for something very practical, and trust me to ask those practical questions, however difficult they are. What will be done differently this time? How will we know it's working? How does this move from policy to productivity? Honorable Minister, let me begin with you. You talked about 2 enablers earlier on, but I also want to remind the room that we've had industrial plans before. This is not the first time. There's been an industrial revolution plan. I remember because I've been long in this game. So for as long as I remember, there was an industrial revolution plan that was done by former administrations. But what is fundamentally different about how this is being structured, implemented when unveiled, what changes in coordination, what forces delivery? And I must ask you also, because we have just 15 minutes to do this, as the conductor of this orchestra, what is the first tangible thing that we're supposed to see in 90 days? What will change, apart from the 2 enablers which you've told the room? Over to you, Honorable Minister.
Well, thank you. I think that not just at this moment, I think that the matter about the Nigerian Industrial Revolution Plan, has come up here and there, but I think that the difference is that first there needs to be a vision, there needs to be the what, before you talk about the how. The how is what the plan addresses. The what, the vision is what the policy addresses. That's number one. Number 2 is that, and there's been a lot of talk, what's different, between then and now. And I think that there are already existing fine points of that difference, and what are they? I mean, we've limited it to this launch. In itself, it gives us a responsibility to deliver. And, in trying to craft this together, what we always told ourselves is that we want to be big on execution, not big on the policy, which is why ahead of the launch, we spent quite a lot of time in the back room. The DG NIPS, tried to illustrate a bit of that in terms of, what the implementation framework, is going to be like. There are roles that have been assigned and responsibilities. I mean, there are instruments, reporting templates and all of that to monitor progress. And there are matters about accountability that, we need to be able to all indicate. And I think that, the other thing to it, beyond the enablers that I've mentioned, is the fact that, and we've walked around all of these, we've identified some, clustering, some clusters. When the DG NIPS talked about the fact that, or the president of MAN, that the ministry was already trying to look into matters about energy. In terms of the 5 thematic, groups that the Industrial Revolution Work Group came up with, one of them, and the biggest of them, is energy.
energy security and all of that. In December, we organized a ministerial roundtable, brought in everybody, Minister of Power, everyone. And I think that we came out of that, getting together with the fact that you need to look at blended power, you need to look at power from the grid, power from gas, power from renewables. And we identified the Do Industrial Cluster as a, one, place in which we want to use, make progress, and see how to replicate that progress across the country. So what it is that within the next 90 days, given the kind of work and attention we want to see what we can do at the club, because generally, if you look at the policy, the issue of industrial clusters and parks, plays big, because in itself, you are going to be able to consolidate on common facilities, common infrastructure, and all of that. So at the Do, which is going to be our template, we're trying to see what we can do to enable productivity taking place in that environment. So what it is that in the next 90 days and going forward, we're hoping to be able to achieve some milestone at the Do as much as in other areas. And what I'd like to say finally is that, and we understand and appreciate the concerns of Nigerians, and we've taken all of that into making sure we took this step, a step which is why our team is, from policy to productivity and all of that. We're serious about this, we are focused on it, and we are determined to deliver. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Over to you, Mr. Olusoya. You run one of the largest manufacturing firms in the country, so you feel policy failures, faster than most also. Are you seeing a signal or something that tells you, especially from what the minister has said, that will make you sit back and say, okay, this changes our investment calculus, And are you confident that this would really unlock productivity as the Honorable Minister has promised?
Thank you, Nancy. Good afternoon, Your Excellency, Vice President. Good afternoon, everybody. Yes, well, I'll answer that two ways. The first part, as you've highlighted, is that there have been industrial policies done over time. Now, one of the key differences this time, which is just a matter of individualism, is the passion with which the Honorable Minister of State has gone about this. The passion and the inclusivity has been excellent. It has been, if there's anything that has been different, that has been that. And when you start with a path that's leading to including the relevant stakeholders in the engagement, then it becomes, there's a better chance of success in the outcome. The other thing that's clear, and that's largely the work that's been done by NIPS, is the clear guidelines on implementation strategies that we've seen. Look, from our perspective, the one thing we always look for is certainty and a basis of a trust in a long-term sustainable plan that will be followed by government. The biggest risk we've always run as a business has been government changing its mind on policies that have been implemented. If you go back and look at failures of backward integration, it has been basically a disconnect between government policy and therefore that leads to bad behavior on the part of the private sector, because once you come in with a mindset that government policy is going to change, it is difficult for you to sustain. And the plans that we're talking about in terms of an industrialization or an industrial policy require long-term capital investment, long-term decisions. Those final investment decisions are difficult to make in that kind of cloud. So if you've got first the passion of the individuals, second, a basis in which there's been inclusivity, third, as NIPS participated in, a clear set of implementation strategies that are trackable, then the next thing is to see each of those implementation strategies at work, and slowly you get full confidence built. The confidence that needs to come for us to participate is not just for, because when you look at what you're talking about, it's a full value chain. It's not just an investment in one end of it, i.e. manufacturing. You need to invest in the feedstock, whether it's agri-products or any other products. Invest in storage along those values. And those investments will not happen immediately, but they happen as we get more and more belief. Some of the things that are in the implementation strategies include things like recapitalization of certain banks, for instance. That's a clear statement from government when you see that this is going to happen. Then you also get other players who are investing in the structural constraints, whether it's infrastructure, roads, other things that then come in as well.
Okay, so I'm getting a sense that you're optimistic, Mr. Olusoya, from this, and confident.
As of now, yes.
As of now. Okay, let me come over to the DG of MAN. You represent manufacturers across sectors, large, medium, and even struggling. What will tell your members, your manufacturers, and everyday Nigerians that this policy is alive?
Okay, thank you very much, and Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I think what is critical for us to recognize that when you say government is partnering with the private sector, it means that you don't engage in a monologue. You have a conversation, you co-create an atmosphere that ensures that both sides are on the same page, and so they are able to create an environment that is devoid of uncertainty, and you can plan. Because the private sector comes from a background of absolute risk, where if anything goes wrong, you are completely on your own. And on the side of government, it could actually be business as usual. So what we have going on is, from conception, when the Honorable Minister initially said we are going to have this policy within the first year, I mean, not many of us believed what he was talking about. But because he said it when we were all gathered, we decided to give it a shot. And down the line, it went into groups. He quickly and wisely established the Industrial Revolution Work Group, which incubated this idea. And then when we got to the aspect of validation, we brought in the Thinking Institution for Nigeria, NIPS. They conducted the validation, and the Honorable Minister said it's not possible to have a policy without an implementation plan. We got to work, got NIPS involved, and down the line, we now have an implementation plan that will give us a 10-year period and who is to do what. So to the manufacturer, what this means is that we are going to be able to, step by step, identify the binding constraints that have always limited our performance. Manufacturing contribution to GDP below 10% is a non-starter. But we have an ambition to take it to 25%. And we know that all that it takes is for us to recognize each segment of government, not being fragmented, but working together to be able to find solutions to our problem. When Alhaji Aliko Dangote was talking about implementation, what it means is that we have been victims of bad implementation, of non-sustainable implementation. But now we have a guaranteed 10-year period, which is the initial ambition of this policy, for us to be able to know step by step, taking us from point A to point B. And like the president of MAN said, we were at the table. The Industrial Revolution Work Group is co-chaired by the president of MAN and the Honorable Minister. So it's impossible for us, we hope, that government will change its mind along the line. So manufacturers are looking forward to sustained implementation that will guarantee that we are effective.
Okay, so as I crystallize this panel and as we close the panel, Honorable Minister, back to you. You've mentioned a few things, but I'll still like you to talk about commitments, execution commitments, because what you don't measure, you can't manage. So how often would Nigeria see measurable progress, perhaps quarterly, annually?
Well, I think that, in terms of the implementation framework, when I talked about responsibility, talked about ownership, talked about people who have things to do and what they need to do, also talked about, dashboards, for reporting templates. What it is that on a, a quarterly, basis, I believe the progress report, is going to be provided, and that is contained in the implementation framework. And I think that it's because for us, it is not the acclaim that we get out of this event. It is what this event translates into in terms of jobs, in terms of, how much of value addition, goes on, in terms of how competitive that we are. All of that will be the measure of success. And I think that because we don't want to wait till the very end, we're going to periodically, give reports about what progress that this policy execution is recording.
So, Honorable Minister, I'm taking it that you're owning the delivery.
Well, why not? I have to own the delivery, and I
do. Fantastic. Now let me move over to Mr. Olusoya. What is one confidence signal that industry is ready to send if implementation begins as promised? What should I be expected to see from farm mills, for example?
Accelerated investments. We have been here long term, and we're long-term players here, but this will accelerate our investment decisions and our additional investment
So, Honorable Minister, that's it for you. So if something is being done, we're going to say accelerated investment from flour mills. All right, as we end, Mr. Kadi, what is one measurable indicator that Nigerians can track over the next 12 months? Honorable Minister talked about productivity, that will create jobs. So if we're seeing jobs, that means that, of course, our unemployment rates would, not be where it is right now. Poverty will reduce and all of that. What indicator should we look out for as Nigerians?
Okay, so I think we should immediately see a winding down of binding constraints that we have. For instance, we are looking forward to the coming into being of what the fiscal policy measures will be for the year 2026. We've not had one in 2024, we've not had one in 2025. Now is the time for it to come out and then find application in the industrial policy that we have. So I think immediately we want to have a lessening of the uncertainty that we have, because we have a document that prepares a pathway, and that manufacturers will step by step remind government, work with government, that we have a policy that, for God's sake, we must stay on. And from what we can see, there's no indication that we are not going to do that.
Fantastic. And I'll end with this. Yes, a round of applause. Please make it louder. Thank you. So I will end with this. The government clearly has said that this policy is structured. That's what I've heard from Mr. Minister. Will be monitored and will be time-bound. Industry says that confidence will follow consistency. If Nigerians in Abuja here, in Lagos, Aba, Kano, Kaduna, Onitsha, look back 1 year from today, what will convince them that this policy moved from policy on paper to productivity? Because that, ultimately, Honorable Minister, is the standard. Thank you, distinguished panelists. Please, a round of applause for all of them. And we're finished with dinner, our 15 minutes time, so please, another round of applause. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nancy Ilo Naji. Please give her a round of applause. We knew we could trust you to do that in 15 minutes, and you did. So thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Your Excellencies, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, following the presidential address, we will take this order of photograph, following presidential address. First off, His Excellency will remain by his on the stage for 28 seconds. A montage video will play to unveil. After the montage video, the following persons will join him on stage here for a photo op with a copy of the policy booklet. And these are the President of MAN, the President of Dangote Group, the Urban Minister of State for Industry, the Urban Minister of Trade and Investment, the SGF, the Special Advisor to the President on Industry, Trade and Investment, and the other Honorable Minister who is in the room with us. Because of space constraint, they will join him here. And after that, every other dignitary on the front row will just step forward and stand here in front of them for the final family photo today. So that is the order. Please welcome with me now a man who himself is a proud supporter of Made in Nigeria, supports Nigerian businesses, and drives that we all do the same. A round of applause for His Excellency, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR, represented by our Vice President, His Excellency Kashim Shettima GCON. Your Excellency.
Kindly take your seats, please. For me, I'm going to turn around the protocol on its head. I just came back from Ethiopia. The Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Abiy Ahmed, described him as one of the greatest Africans alive. 100 years from now, all of us seated here must have become poor tenants in the home of the earthworms, forgotten, completely forgotten. But he will still be remembered because He followed the dictum of Peter Drucker. He predicted the future by creating it. As I have always said, Aliko Dangote is not an individual. He is an institution, an African institution that should be celebrated, defended. Some of us have been in the political limelight for the past 20 years, but some people find it difficult even to pronounce my name, even as the sitting vice president. John Quincy Adams, the first occupant of that seat, described the office of the vice president as the most insignificant office that ever the invention of man contrived or his imagination conceived. And I wasn't the first person to suffer such indignity. Goodluck Jonathan was variously called Goodluck Jonathan, Jonathan Goodluck, Ebele Jonathan, for 8 years. Former Vice President Yomi Osibanjo was called Yomi Osibanjo, Yemi Osibanjo. So, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I'm quite glad to be with you this afternoon. The President of Dangote Industries, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Zujugu Dajo, the Ada Abba Ga, the cat with 9 lives. He is now the longest serving public servant in our system. Hitherto, that position was occupied by Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje. He was variously a permanent secretary, a director of protocol with the Benue State government. He was the governor of Benue State for 8 years, a senator of the Federal Republic for 16 years, a minority leader, a minister of the Federal Republic, and now the secretary to the government of the Federation. Your Excellency, Dr. Hadiza Sabwa Balarabe, the Deputy Governor of Kaduna State. Your Excellency, Chief John Monde Oyeme, the Deputy Governor of Delta State. Representatives of our state governors present here. The Honorable Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Jumoke Oduole, MFR. The Honorable Minister of Regional Development, Engineer Abubakar Momo. The Honorable Minister of State for Industry, Trade and Investment, Senator John Owen Eno. The Honorable Minister of State for Regional Development, Honorable Uba Maigari Amadou. The United Nations Resident and Humanitarian Coordinator in Nigeria, Mr. Mohammed Malik Pal, and other representatives of international organizations. The Special Advisor to the President on Job Creation and Micro, Small, and Medium Enterprises, Mr. Temitola Adekule Johnson, and other senior presidential aides, heads of government agencies and parastatals and extra ministerial departments. There are so many that I can't, but I have my boss in Venice Bank, Noe Aini. Both of us was general managers in Venice Bank, but she became a general manager ahead of me, so I call her my boss in Venice Bank. So I want to use you to recognize and appreciate all heads of government agencies and parastatals here. Captains of industry, including Alhaji Karim Yusuf, the MD of Calm Holdings, and my very good friend Boye Olusaya, the MD of Flour Mills of Nigeria Limited. Mr. Kadri, you are the boss head man, but I am yet to know the industries you are running. So with all, I respect you, I adore you. Distinguished panelists, senior government officials, members of the fourth estate of the Rim, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen. When we took over the affairs of this nation in 2023, we did so with a promise to redefine our industrial ambition. To occupy more than the margins in this web of industrial revolution, we must set up the infrastructure to compete with the rest of the world. To compete, we must first plan. And I'm excited to share in the promise of this day as we unveil the Nigeria Industrial Policy 2025. This policy is a product of thorough introspection and a roadmap for re-engineering our industrial base, unlocking value across sectors and placing production, competitiveness, and jobs at the center of Nigeria's economic strategy. For too many years, we have contended with fragmented value chains, high production costs, infrastructure gaps, policy inconsistencies, and insufficient coordination between government and industry. This stops now. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Nigeria Industrial Policy is an acknowledgement of our deficiencies. We have realized that industrialization is not a wish you think about. It is an action you perform. More than that, we must remind ourselves that this task demands coherence across energy, trade, infrastructure, finance, skills, and innovation. It requires partnership between government and the private sector. This policy therefore prioritizes strategic sector focus anchored on our comparative and competitive advantages. It advances value chain development so that Nigeria moves steadily from exporting raw materials to producing finished goods. It integrates our micro, small and medium enterprises into the heart of industrial growth, because prosperity must not be exclusive. It aligns infrastructure and energy with industrial ambition, for factories cannot run on policy alone. It strengthens skills, technology, and innovation to prepare our people for the industries of today and tomorrow. And it establishes a clear implementation architecture, because policies rarely fail at conception. They fail at execution. The defining strength of this policy is its insistence on implementation. This administration will not measure success by the number of documents we produce. We will measure success by the number of factories that open their gates at dawn, by the jobs created for our young men and women, by the exports that leave our ports bearing the mark of Nigerian excellence, and by the value retained within our economy. That is why the Nigeria Industrial Policy is firmly aligned with our macroeconomic reforms. It aligns with our trade and export ambitions under the African Continental Free Trade Area. It is aligned with our commitment to local content, competitiveness, and investment certainty. It is aligned with our resolve to build an industrial economy that works for everyday Nigerians. And this is how nations rise. I must commend the Honorable Minister of State for Industry, Senator John Owen Eno, and his senior, Dr. Jumoke Oduole, for their disciplined leadership and clarity of purpose in driving this process. They have demonstrated that policy leadership is not about noise, but about substance, coordination, and follow-through. I also commend the ministry's technical teams, industry stakeholders, manufacturers, investors, and practitioners whose insights have shaped this policy into a document grounded in reality and informed by experience. We must tell ourselves that if this plan is to come to life, all stakeholders in our industrial sector must be at the decision-making table. Our private sector must be supported to invest with confidence and responsibility, to deepen local value chains, to create jobs and transfer skills, and to partner with government in building a productive economy. This means committing not only to policy stability and coherence, but also to transparent engagement with industry. It means committing to measurable targets and accountability, and to a relentless focus on results. And results truly count. In the year 2025, the Dangote Industries, the cement sector alone, paid us 900 billion naira in taxes. This is how economies grow. This is how we create jobs. The government has no business being in business. You are the creators of wealth. All of you here. We are mightily proud of manufacturers in this country who are here in spite of all the challenges. We are not unappreciative of your efforts. You are literally generating your own power. Alhaji Aliko generates more energy than the Nigerian state for its industries. But the president, I want to assure this esteemed gathering that the president is fully committed to redefining the meaning and concept of modern leadership. He is determined to drive the transformation of this nation. Because wherever Nigeria goes, that's where Africa goes. Let's work for the Nigerian nation. Let's work for the Nigerian people. The average age of the Nigerian nation is 16.9. We are the global workforce. Asia is aging. Europe is being depopulated. America, if you remove the Latinos and the African Americans, America too is aging. But Africa is a young continent. So let's unite as a people behind our leader, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in spite of whatever contradictions we might have. All nations have their own internal contradictions. But if you have a vision and a focus and a roadmap towards accomplishing those goals, I believe we will reach the promised land. Anyone following the trend in the Nigerian stock exchange will be overexcited. For someone like me, I'm even frightened at the phenomenal rise in the value of stocks. Why? It's a reflection of the health of the Nigerian economy. A friend of mine called me yesterday out of fear that his stocks increased by 1.7 billion naira in value within 24 hours. That shows the vibrancy. In spite of all the negativities, Nigeria is indeed a great nation. So as I unveil the Nigeria Industrial Policy 2025, I do so with the conviction that Nigeria's industrial future is an achievable reality within our grasp, if we summon the discipline to pursue it. The work begins now, not tomorrow, not next year, now. I thank you all, and may God bless us.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Senator John Owen, sir, if you can please join His Excellency on stage for the unveiling. Senator John Owen for the 28 seconds video first, before I will invite the other dignitaries whom I mentioned earlier to join them for the photo op. The video, please, technical, real quick. Please, now, the dignitaries I had mentioned for the photo op with the book, can I get the booklet copy now? Please bring them. Let them be joined by Alhaji Aliko Dangote. Let them be joined by the President of MAN. Yes, the UN resident coordinator, please come. Yeah. Haji Isabella Usman. And the essays, the other two essays, special advisors who are in the room, please come as well. Yes, please come, please come. Okay, this is, so following this picture, they will be joined by the governors present and represented. Please, let's take this one first. This is the industrialists and the people in government pushing the policy of industrialization with the Vice President in this picture. Please give them another round of applause. If you have this picture, please give me a thumbs up so I will invite the governor's representatives and the DGs of the agencies. Please, governors and the deputy governors who are here now, please come. If there's a way we can do this picture, if some of us, if we can just move, move forward a bit, Your Excellency. Exactly, Your Excellency. Thank you. Please give our Vice President a round of applause. You are, all the DGs, please step forward now. All the DGs, you can join now. All the DGs of the agencies, please join now. All the DGs of the agencies, please join now. Thank you, Your Excellency, for making my work very easy. All the DGs, some of you can come to the back. Please come to the back. Some of you can come to the back. All right. I think we'll have a good picture. Now, after this, the Honorable Minister of State for Industry will present a gift to the Vice President right where he's standing. And right there, we'll take the national anthem to close the event. If you have the picture, please let me know so that we can, please go ahead with the gift. Go. No, go to the ground. Go to the ground. Real quick, give the minister the gift. Go. They're waiting for you. Go. That's the final activity we're performing, and the national anthem will close the event. Distinguished Senator Owen, do you need a mic or you're good? Should I get a mic to you, sir? Okay. Your Excellencies, please a round of applause one more time. History has been made. Today we begin the journey. And here and now, we will take the final assignment for this event. Technical.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians old and proud to serve our sovereign fatherland.
God bless the Republic of Nigeria. Please free the aisle. Everybody free the aisle. Thank you, Your Excellency. Thank you. Congratulations to Nigerian. To the industrialists of Nigeria and to the Nigerian people. My name is Richmond Osuji. It's been my pleasure serving